me everything about you. Why should people do this? And you're going to talk about this.
Today I have something in particular to talk about, but just as a sort of an overview, what is elder law? So, like I said, 60-ish, you can start thinking about an elder law attorney as opposed to a regular estate planning attorney, and definitely 70, 75, 80, that's the real, you really want to be setting an appointment with an elder law attorney and not an estate planner who does not do elder law. So, but what is elder law? So, it's so many things. The biggest piece of elder law is every family has their own bucket of gold, whatever it is. It's different for every family. And everybody worries about, as I get older and as I need more care, I might outlive my bucket of gold. So the elder law attorney's job is to stretch out that pot of gold.
And that's what I'm living on now, stretching out that pot of gold.
Stretching out that pot of gold. So it might be that I'm looking at, for somebody who needs home care, for example, you can privately pay for home care. But that might burn through your pot of gold pretty quickly. So what I'm also looking at is, can I get you veterans benefits? Can I get you some Medicaid benefits? Do you have some kids that will be helpful? Do you have some neighbors that will be helpful? And if we put all that together, plus the private pay hours, but now you're paying less hours private pay, your pot of gold will stretch out longer.
Private pay is expensive?
Private pay is expensive, and so you're probably going to have to do that. But if we can supplement so that you've got a few less hours that you're privately paying, because we have a few hours covered by VA, a few hours covered by Medicaid, a few hours covered by kids or neighbors, now your pot of gold will last longer.
And do you bring kids with you? I brought my kids with me. My daughter.
Some people do and some people don't. It depends on your family and your dynamics. There are some people who are very private and don't have their kids involved. There are other people who absolutely depend on their kids to help them with financial decisions. So it all depends on whatever you're comfortable with.
And you don't care. You'll work with whatever. Or do you recommend something?
Most of the time. I tell people, basically what I just said. If you like having your kids there and if you find it helpful, bring them. If you're a private person and you don't want them there, don't bring them. Every now and then I have a situation of kids bringing their parents.
Oh yeah, and it's not good.
Sometimes it's absolutely the right thing to do, but sometimes you can kind of smell a little something.
So do you smell that out? And
yes, that's part of our job, is to sniff out when kids are being not so ethical.
Oh my, huh?
Yes. Oh yes, you hear stories.
I know, it's stories.
Yep. So I shouldn't say, some kids are just plain old unethical, and some kids, it's people are interpreting the situation differently.
Okay.
And it's coming from an honest place.
Yes, yes.
So some kids really think my mom needs this. They truly think it, whereas mom really doesn't need that.
Yes.
And some kids are just rotten. So
rotten. And you know what? Can you imagine why? Yes.
We can't.
You can't go into that.
Yes.
And in-laws come into play and all this nasty stuff.
Yes.
So how long do you give somebody the first time? I mean,
so the different offices do it differently. The way I like to do it is I have a planning session. It's 2 hours long. So
how lovely.
The first time someone comes in, we send you a checklist and you bring basically your filing cabinet with you. So you'll bring all your bank statements, the deed to your house, your income statements, your social security statements, just everything.
Isn't it nice to trust somebody and say, here it is, and dump it in my lap?
They dump it they dump it all over the conference table.
You must be working hours and hours and hours.
So it's yes, lately. So, so to answer your question, so people bring essentially their filing cabinet with them, and we do a 2-hour planning session. And so
you sort through
it, and we go through your assets, your income, your care needs, your goals, your family tree, your support system, and we figure out everything you might need. And then by the end of the planning session, I can say, and here is what you need me to do going forward.
Isn't that nice to put myself in your hands and know there may be rotten kids, but you're not. You have my best interest at heart.
Oh yes, the elder law attorney always represents the elder.
Excellent.
Period. Even if we're working with kids, like we have times where we have parents who have become incompetent, so where the kids are the ones coming to us. But even in that situation, most of the time, the elder law attorney is still representing the parent. Yes, so when people come into my office, we send them a checklist. They bring with them
You
their
send a
filing.
checklist of what
we
you
send
want.
a checklist of what we want to see at the planning session.
Because that would make sense, all this time wasted if they didn't have
Right, the
everything
more they
needed.
bring with them, the better tailored advice I can give them.
And when they leave, you have all this that you must muddle through and decide on the best course of action?
Yeah, we spend 2 hours with, everything spread out on the conference room table, and then I ask them lots of questions. I get the family tree, figure out what's your support system. Are you a veteran? What's your health insurance? Do you have long-term care insurance? Your income, your assets? Everything. Do you have a special needs child? Do you have children who don't talk to you? Do you have children who died? Is this
Yes,
a first
and I have a
marriage?
special
second-
needs child. That's very
so
important.
all these things come into play. So, and then by the end of the 2 hours, we figured out, well, a couple things. I've just taught them a few things during the 2 hours. Like I might say, go to the VA and get your hearing aid. So some things I just teach and share during the 2 hours.
And do you talk about that when you talk at night or when you
Oh
go to-
yeah, yep, when I give talks too. But by the end of the 2 hours, so I've done some just teaching right in the room, but also I know whatever legal project you need going forward. We need to do a trust, we need to do a special needs trust, we need to do power of attorney,
a trust is
etc.
what?
Oh boy, I said the magic
Okay,
word.
well, trust
So-
me and estate trust and all this jazz, all different, right?
Yes, so what I always say is that trusts come in many different flavors.
Okay.
And they all have different purposes. So a lot of times people will come in and say, my neighbor has a trust and she said I should get a trust too. And I say, well, maybe
Does it
you
apply?
should. Right, I say maybe you should and maybe we shouldn't. Let's go through all these papers you brought me and let's spend 2 hours really figuring everything out. And by the end, I'll be able to tell you whether you need a trust or whether you don't need a trust. And if you do need a trust, do you need a revocable? Do you need an irrevocable? Do you need an AB trust? Do you need a special needs
my
trust?
God.
Right. So there's a lot of trust. So when your neighbor's telling you need a trust, you might not.
Your
You
lawyer will decide what.
Right. Yes. Trusts come in many different flavors.
And that's why you're there. You're a lawyer,
Yes.
you're a woman. Oh my, Me Too movement will love you. And you were there
Me too.
before, a long time before.
Yes. But only because of women generations before who fought for me
Yes.
to be able to be here.
Absolutely.